Okay guys, now we'll be seeing the first topic of thorax, that is the mediastinum. It is nothing but the space between the two lungs. The contents are arch of aorta, superior vena cava, trachea, esophagus, thoracic duct and azygos vein. On either sides of the mediastinum we have the lungs, and below that we have the diaphragm. The definition is that midline space between the two lungs or between mediastinal pleura. So now to the division. By horizontal imaginary line at the sternal angle. It is divided into superior and inferior divisions. And in the inferior division is divided by pericardium into posterior mediastinum, middle mediastinum and anterior mediastinum. Posterior mediastinum is behind the pericardium, middle mediastinum is present in the pericardium and anterior is in front of the pericardium. And now if we see in a diagram to make it clear, the mid-sagittal section, draw the sternum with the manubrium sterni and you have to draw a line at the level of the sternal angle dividing into superior and inferior and then three inferior parts now. And now to the boundaries. Anteriorly, we have the sternum. Posteriorly, we have the T1 to T12 vertebra. Superiorly, we have the plane of superior thoracic aperture. And inferiorly, we have the diaphragm. And then moving on to the contents of the superior mediastinum. Anteriorly, manubrium sterni, boundaries. Posteriorly, T1 to T4 thoracic vertebrae. Superiorly, plane of superior thoracic aperture. And inferiorly, horizontal imaginary line drawn at the sternal angle. And on either sides, we have the mediastinal pleura. And now moving on to the contents. The first one is, there's a rule of 2 in the contents of superior mediastinum. First, there are 2 blood vessels, arch of aorta and 3 branches, and right and left brachiocephalic vein, which drain into SVC. And then 2 tubes, trachea and esophagus. And then 2 nerves, the right and left splenic nerves and right and left vagus nerve. And then we have 2 muscles, the sternohyoid and sternothyroid. And then 2 T's, the thoracic duct and the thymus gland. And now moving on to the middle mediastinum. The contents are the fibrous pericardium, heart roots of great vessels, ascending aorta, IVC and SVC, pulmonary trunk, the pulmonary vein, azygos veins, terminal part, and then the phrenic nerves. And now moving on to the posterior mediastinum. Anteriorly, we have the pericardium. Posteriorly, we have the T10 to T12 vertebra. Superiorly, we have the horizontal imaginary line drawn at sternal angle. Inferiorly, we have the diaphragm. On each side, we have the mediastinal pleura. And now moving on to the contents. You have an easy acronym that is I love dates. I is for nothing, love is for right and left vagus nerve, D is for descending thoracic aorta, A is for azygos, hemiazygos and accessory azygos vein, T is for thoracic duct, E is for esophagus and S is for sympathetic and splanchnic nerves. And as this is over, we can go to the arch of aorta, the next content. At the T4 level, the arch of aorta is present. Located in the superior mediastinum, behind the manubrium sterni, above the sternal angle. And now moving on to the origin. It is upward continuation of arch of aorta. And now to the course, it runs upwards, backwards and towards the left side, arches over hilum of the left lung, and then on the termination, it continues downwards as a descending thoracic aorta at the same sternal angle. Branches. First, the brachiocephalic trunk, which gives the right common carotid and the right subclavian artery. And then on moving to the left common carotid artery. And then the left subclavian. And to the relation, now we have a diagram which is very simple. You just have to draw 3 roots, which is a right common carotid and right subclavian from the brachiocephalic, and the left common carotid and left subclavian, and the pulmonary trunk divided into 2. And inferiorly, the pulmonary trunk divides. Anteriorly, the left phrenic and left vagus nerve are present, and posteriorly, we have the trachea and esophagus. And now on to the applied correlation of aorta. It is nothing but the congenital narrowing of arch of aorta. And now to the aortic aneurysm. It is nothing but ballooning of the blood vessel. And in chest X-rays, aortic knuckle is found in the arch of aorta. And now moving on to superior vena cava, another content. It drains deoxygenated blood from upper half of the body. Formation is from right brachiocephalic vein united to form superior vena cava. Course at the level of subclavian artery, that is the sternal angle, pierces the pericardium and receives the azygos vein. And now on to the termination into the upper part of the right atrium in the middle mediastinum. About 7 centimeters long. The SVC opens into a guarded, it's not guarded by any valve. And now onto the diagram, very easy. Draw the right atrium and the right brachiocephalic and left brachiocephalic trunks, which join to form the superior vena cava. In the first costal cartilage level, they unite together. Second cartilage level, they enter into the right atrium. And now on to the tributaries. The right and left brachiocephalic vein, the azygos vein, and the mediastinal and pericardial vein. And now moving on to the other tubular structure, that is the thoracic duct, also known as the Pecky's duct. The largest lymphatic duct in the body. It is the upward continuation of cisterna chyli. It passes through one of the openings in the diaphragm, that is the aortic opening, present in the T12 level. It passes into the posterior mediastinum, crosses the midline from right to left at the level of sternal angle, and passes into the superior mediastinum. And now on to the termination part. At C7 level, the thoracic duct opens into the junction between the internal jugular vein and left subclavian vein or into the brachiocephalic vein directly. And now on to the tributaries. The thoracic duct drains lymph from all quadrants of the body except the right upper half. And now on to the quadrants. The right half of the head and neck, the right half of thoracic wall, and right upper limb are the parts which are not drained by the thoracic duct. And now the right half of head and neck are drained by the right jugular trunk. Right half of thoracic wall is by right brachiomediastinal trunk. The right upper limb is by the right subclavian trunk. And all are tributaries of thoracic duct except the right jugular trunk and right bronchiomediastinal trunk. There's a very easy diagram for this. Draw a diaphragm and a cystic duct and make the continuation of thoracic duct upwards and make it arch towards the left side at the level of C7 into the brachiocephalic vein. And now moving on to the other tubular structure, that is the esophagus. The esophagus is a muscular tube of 25 centimeters in the vertebral level of C6 to T11. It passes in the superior mediastinum, then into the posterior mediastinum, passes through the esophageal opening in the diaphragm. And there's a very easy diagram, the pharyngeal part, then the C6 level you have the pharyngeal-esophageal junction, and then the upper part is known as cervical and the lower part is known as thoracic part, and then it passes through the diaphragm and then joins into the cardiac portion of stomach and the T11 part, that is the gastroesophageal junction. And another important thing in esophagus are the constrictions. So easy. You have an easy acronym CALD. C for cricopharyngeal constriction at the C6 level, which is 6 inches away, and A for the arch of aorta T4, 9 inches away, L for left bronchial constriction T6, 11 inches away, and D for diaphragmatic T10, 15 inches away, and to the blood supply. The cervical part is by the inferior thyroid artery and inferior thyroid vein. The thoracic part is by the descending thoracic aorta and azygos vein. The abdominal part is by left gastric artery, left gastric vein, and hemiazygous vein. And the lower part of esophagus is by portocaval anastomosis. And now to the upright. Achalasia cardia. Lower esophageal sphincter in this case is competent, partially relaxed. Due to this, the food accumulates in the lower part and gives a rat tail-like appearance. The inflamed esophagus is known as esophagitis. Another important thing is Barrett's esophagus. In this, there is a change in the epithelium of the esophagus. The non-keratinized squamous epithelium normally present turns into non-keratinized columnar epithelium. This is known as metaplasia. It is due to the chronic exposure to gastric acids. And another one is the esophagoscope, which is used to examine the interior of the esophagus. And that's easy anatomy for you. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and please click the bell icon for more updates. Thank you.